Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Governor's Commission on Disabilities PowerPoint training for surveying polling places on Election Day. Today, we're going to go through some of the issues that we screen for on Election Day. So if you decide that you would like to volunteer with us, you'll have an idea of what we do and how we do it. So, firstly, I'm going to talk about why we do it. Why do we survey polling places? And the first reason that we do it is because it's the law. There are laws such as the Help America Vote Act and the Motor Voter Registration Act that require certain level of accessibility and ability for people to be able to vote independently as possible, and also secretly. Everyone has a right to secret ballot. So we do the screenings to make sure that everyone, particularly people with disabilities, can vote secretly and independently. And we focus on issues of accessibility because we are the Governor's Commission on Disabilities. So polling places. There are multiple polling places in each town. Everyone who's registered to vote is assigned to a specific polling place where they must vote on Election Day. And that's if people have chosen to vote on Election Day. If people want to, they can sign up for a mail ballot, or they can use early voting. However, that all has to be done before Election Day. And if you're going to use a mail ballot, there are registration deadlines for requesting a mail ballot. So people who haven't already voted, they vote on Election Day. And if somebody wants to look up their voting, their polling place, they can look it up at this link on the Secretary of State's website. Each polling place has been assigned a unique 4-digit polling place number. And that is important because that's how we keep track of the different polling places in the state. So here's an example of a list of polling places. And if you choose to volunteer with us, we will send you something that looks like this, and it will have the 4-digit number of the polling place. It'll have the city or town where the polling place is located, and the street address, and the name of the polling place. So each polling place also usually has some sort of name where people, colloquially know that location as. So it's a fire department, a church auditorium. I think this is a school. So you might, if you're going to be surveying in your community, you might be familiar with those names. So on the day of the election, you'll have received your list of polling places ahead of time and a link to our online form. You can also use printed paper surveys. So on the day of the election, we suggest you bring a tape measure, and you need to have your list of assigned polling places so you know where to go. And you can either use your smartphone and do our online survey, or if that is not something that'll work for you, we can also send you print a copy of our ballot, and you can print our paper surveys, and you can print those out and fill those out and either enter them in on the link that we sent you, preferably, and if you really can't do that, you can send us the paper surveys. We suggest that you start as early as possible on Election Day, and that's because if we can find out about a problem earlier in the day, then we can fix it earlier in the day, sooner, and that way there's more time that the polling place is accessible. So the sooner we find out about a problem, the sooner we can fix it. So this is what the beginning of our online survey looks like. We ask that you enter information carefully because it does go straight into our spreadsheet. So this is really nice way for us to be able to do this. We used to just do paper, but this way, people are able to enter the information online and it goes directly into a spreadsheet. So we have the information pretty much instantaneously. It's very useful. So as you can see, we ask you to enter in the date of that particular election, because we do this every election, so we need to know which one. The 4-digit polling place, number of the polling place, which I showed you before, and the name of the polling place as it appears on your list. Also ask you to put in your name in another section as part of that section too, so we know who did the survey, in case we need to call and have any follow-up questions, and also to give you credit for helping us out. So the second part of the survey is we'd like you to look around outside the polling place and get an idea of basically, do people know where to go, and can they get from that parking area to the polling place doors? Is that accessible? So the first question on that section is there a vote here sign clearly visible from the street? And here I've got 2 examples of not very good vote here signs. On the left, we have a picture of what looks like a sign which is written on crayon on an old board, and it's really not easy to see what that says, and it's not the official sign that is given out by the Board of Elections. On the right, there's a blue sign on a brick wall, and the sign is one of the official ones from the Board of Elections, but it's one of the smaller ones. It's 8.5 by 11 sign, and it's starting to peel off of the wall, so it's not really easy to see it. So those are 2 instances where when the sign is not clearly visible from the street. The other things that we want to make sure are clearly marked are the accessible parking spaces. So on the left, there's a black and white drawing of 2 accessible parking spaces. The one on the left, there's a woman coming out of her van using a wheelchair lift, and she's able to access what we call the access aisle, which is the room that is there, extra room that's there for people to be able to use wheelchair lifts. On the right, there's a gentleman exiting his car with a walker. There are 2 signs. One on the left says, it's hard, can't really read it, but those of us who are familiar with these signs, that would be a sign that has the international sign for accessibility, and the underneath it would say van accessible. On the right is just the general international sign for accessibility, and in between the signs is a sign that says vote. So it shows you that there's a sign saying vote here, and there's the clearly marked accessible parking space signs. And also as an added bonus, there is a curb cut right in that access aisle, which is very good positioning for where the curb cut should be. On the right, there is a sign with the international sign for accessibility. However, it's not the standard sign, and it's also very faded. So, and in position in a way that on a fence that's kind of facing away, and it's very faded. So people might not be able to understand that that actually is an accessible parking spot. So if somebody were looking for a spot, they may not see that and might not know that that's there. Here's another example of a problem. So you can see in this picture, in the foreground is an accessible parking spot. And then there's a triangular shaped access aisle. And if somebody were to park in that spot, the person would be able to, if somebody with a driver and they got out in the left-hand and the left-hand access aisle, the parking spot is over, I mean, the polling place is over to the right, behind these cars in the foreground. So somebody would not be able to get from, if they got out on the driver's side, they would not be able to get here because their car would be blocking this. They would not be able to get over there and to the voting place, and there was no access here. So they'd have to go all the way around. So having that area blocked would makes these not usable accessible spots. Another issue to look at is the polling place entrance clearly marked? And also, is there a sign indicating where the accessible entrance that is also visible from the accessible parking? And is the accessible entrance different from the main entrance? So the accessible entrance and the main entrance should be one and the same. There shouldn't be two separate entrances. And furthermore, you know, there needs to actually be, I mean, first of all, an entrance that is accessible. So there should be one entrance that is accessible. In this picture, not only is the entrance here have stairs, which means that it's not accessible, but they've used the signs for an accessible entrance where there are stairs. So clearly that's not an accessible entrance. So make sure that where the signs say, so you know an accessible entrance sign because it says vote here, vote aquí, and there's the international sign for accessibility. So so basically what we would like to see and is required is a unobstructed path of travel from parking area to the entrance to the polling place. So in this picture, we have a black and white illustration. And on the left, there's somebody exiting a van and that's in a designated accessible parking space. And there's a curb cut and an unobstructed path of travel from that parking space to the entrance to the polling place. There's also a bus stop, and there's an unobstructed path of travel from the bus stop to the entrance to the polling place. There's also a drop-off area, which people who are using ride or paratransit or getting a ride from somebody might use this drop-off area on the right. And there's also an unobstructed path of travel from that area that also has a curb cut, and you can easily get to the polling place entrance from there. Yep. So some issues that you might see that are obstructions to the polling place. On the right, there's some a sidewalk and there's a big crack. So make a note of that if you see something like that where somebody's walker or wheelchair or other mobility device could end up getting stuck in there, or somebody who just doesn't use a device but might have some difficulty walking, that could be dangerous for them as well. On the left, we have a door handle that would have to be, somebody would have to curl their hand and put it under the handle and pull it, their arm back in order to open this. And this is a violation because all doors that anybody would have to open to enter a polling place must be able to be opened with a closed fist. So no round doorknobs, no doorknobs like this. Generally, it would be the type that have a long handle and you could push down. Also, if the door is exceptionally heavy, that's a problem as well. So if the door is not accessible, such as this one on the left, the poll workers are supposed to have that door propped open or have somebody standing there who opens the door for everybody. So if you encounter that, you know, write that down, make a note, and we'll also tell you the number to call and who to ask for. All right, now we are onto ramps. So some entrances will have a ramp that helps people to enter the polling place, get over any steps that might be there. In these two pictures are what I call nightmare ramps. So here we have a wooden ramp leading up to a concrete entryway. It's got nice yellow marking on it. You know, that's somebody had a good intention with that, but there is no railing on this. So somebody might you know, risk going over the side. So that's not compliant. It needs to have railings and it needs to be at least 36 inches wide. Also needs to be a certain slope. However, we've already gone out and tested the slopes. So you don't have to worry about that. Just make sure that if there is a ramp that is being used, that there's no break like this, and that there are railings. Likewise, on the right, this ramp has a couple of problems. It doesn't have a railing. There's this bump here, and also the doors open outwards, and there's on the slope. So where the doors open outwards where they open, it needs to be flat. There needs to be a flat area of at least 5 feet so that somebody can get back and open the door without risking toppling backwards. All right, back to this polling place. Just wanted to show this because this was an issue with the, you know, the actual entrance. So in addition to having things mismarked on the right over here, this was the elevator, which was the accessible way to get into the building. However, there was no sign indicating that people were supposed to ring the bell to be able to use it. So that was a big problem. You know, there's no way for somebody, if they showed up in a wheelchair or just couldn't use the steps, there was no way that anybody would know that there was a way for them to enter the building. They would just see the steps and say, oh my goodness, I can't get in. The other issue is that when I went in and looked at the elevator, it was not 36 inches wide. So if there's an elevator or a lift system, it needs to be 36 inches wide, at least. So next slide, we've got, you know, just letting you know that if you have additional comments or any other concerns that you see relating to accessibility, we provided a space for you to type in sort of your thoughts or reactions or any other concerns that you have. And we do put that information into our spreadsheet. It's actually oftentimes very helpful to have extra information about if there's something wrong, exactly what it is. So, and also note if you called our office about the issue. All right, so once you get inside the polling place, there's also some issues with accessibility that you need to look out for. There's a black and white illustration on the right that shows the different ways that people can enter. And it looks like in this instance, there are 2 different desks for registration set up. Path of travel to each is open, and 3 tables for registration is open, and people can easily get to from the door to the check-in desk, and then from the check-in desk to where they are able to vote. So we have the different booths over here. We have what's called the accessible booth, so it's lower so that somebody who is using a wheelchair can use it. So when you enter the polling place, there will be poll workers checking people in at the table up front. Under Rhode Island law, we're not supposed to go past that table. So please don't go past it. If the poll workers say it's okay, just say, thank you, kind of you, but I've been advised not to go past that. When you walk in, usually there's a poll workers up front, so they're telling people where to go. Introduce yourself, and you can also ask to speak to the moderator or warden. That's the person who's in charge. And if you have questions, they can give you information. So there's some questions that you would want to ask of the moderator that come up later. We have just a quick little script that people, if you're looking for a script, you could say this or something similar. Just say, hi, how's it going? Just say, I'm a volunteer from the Governor's Commission on Disabilities. I'm here to check for any accessibility issues. And then I always ask them if, have you encountered any issues today, or do you have any concerns? And sometimes the poll workers do have concerns that they are raising that, are good feedback for us to bring back. In one instance, somebody mentioned that they felt that the room was too small, and it made it very difficult for people to move around to where the auto mark had to be placed for the express vote, which is the machine, accessible voting machine. It's hard for people to get over there, and people were kind of jammed in, so they said they should be in a bigger spot. All right, all right, so I just mentioned the express vote. I'm going to talk some more about it. So what the express vote is it's a ballot casting machine. Is a machine where you can fill in your ballot, and it helps people with disabilities vote independently and secretly. Anybody can use it, not just people with disabilities. In fact, if you're voting on election day, we encourage you to try it out. And those of us in the commission, we try to use it, and we've also tried to get friends and family to use it. It's a very cool piece of technology, and in some cases, the people who've used it had a really good experience. So definitely encourage you to try it out, and encourage others to try it out. So so here's a picture that there is some concerns about the express vote. So here's a picture. On the left, we have a typical ballot that is used by everybody who is using the fill in the bubble form of voting. And that's the majority of people use this ballot. On the right, we have the express vote ballot. And if you notice, it's not the same size. And you can see that it prints out, you use buttons to select your choices, select the candidates and answers to the questions, and then it prints out your choices. So it looks very different from the traditional ballot. And very clearly, it's not the same size, and different type of paper. So this can be a problem when there aren't enough people who use the express vote in a precinct. It could be possible to figure out who voted for whom if they used an express vote ballot. So if only one person uses it, then they definitely know who they voted for. Multiple people, only a few people use it, it's still kind of giving some, not, making it not so secret anymore. And even though, technically nobody opens the box, it really is, if there's a recount or anything like that, it's, we want to make sure that anonymity is preserved as much as possible. So we worked with the Board of Elections to create a solution. So voters without disabilities are supposed to be encouraged to also use the express vote. And each precinct has been told that they have to have a goal of at least 5 voters using the express vote. And because of that, when you do the survey, we ask that you record how many voters have used the express vote. And at the time that you did your survey, and also just to make sure you record the time that you ask, because it does make a difference if you ask at 8:30 versus asking at 6:30 at night. You would hope that they would have reached 5 or at least close to 5, and as it gets closer to closing time. And in the morning, they may not have gotten, many people. I mean, maybe just 1 or 2, but there have been times that we've gone to precincts in the morning and they've already had 25, which is great. Unfortunately, there are precincts where nobody has used the express vote or just 1 or 2 people. So we want to make sure and encourage people to, be using the express vote, and just remind poll workers when you're there, just ask them, how many people have used it, and to say, well, I hear your goal is 5, so good luck getting to that. Hope you get to that. So we want to make sure that we resolve that issue. So another issue with the express vote is the question of, is it turned on and is it positioned for privacy? So all the express vote machines need to be turned on before the polls open. And they also need to be in a position, a spot where nobody can see what the person's doing. So this one here is questionable. This is a picture of an express vote on a table. There's a chair in front of it, and we're looking at the back of it, and you can see there's the privacy screen over the monitor. But if somebody was going to go behind here, they could see how the person was voting. So they would have to make sure nobody was going over here. Over here, these are facing the other direction, so they would not be able to see what was going on here. So as long as there was something blocking over here where the person would not be able to, or nobody would be able to see what is on the screen as the person is voting. There's also a question, that they'd have to make sure that somebody with a wheelchair could get in here and make sure there was enough room behind here. And if somebody using a wheelchair would want to use it, they'd have to pull that chair up for them. All right, so here are the questions for the express vote. Are non-disabled individuals encouraged to use it? How many people have used it? Put in the number, put in the time when you asked. And once again, there's another section to put any concerns, comments that you can put in a short answer, explain what you saw, or any other information you might have gotten from the poll workers. So what to do if you have a problem? So one thing you can do is, or the thing you should do rather, is to call us at the GCD, and this is our main line, is 401-462-0100 or 462-0110. You can call either of those numbers, and I will be there to answer the phone and help resolve the issue. If you have a camera on your phone, which many people do, and you want to take a picture of the issue, that could be very helpful. And we have a special email account for poll surveying, and that is rigcdelections@gmail.com. So you can email any photos or any issues that you see to that number. I'm sorry, to that email. But also please call. Sending the photo was really just to help us. So if we're forwarding it along to the Board of Elections or to somebody else to help explain the problem. All right, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, Elizabeth Hubbard. That's my email, elizabeth.hubbard@gcd.ri.gov. My phone number, 401-462-0110. And I appreciate you're taking the time to listen to our training, and we hope to talk to you about it for Election Day. And if you are interested in volunteering, we have, you may have received our email and our flyer, but if you haven't, what it tells you to do is to go to our website, which is gcd.ri.gov, and we have a contact form on there, and you can just fill that out with your information and check off voting access on the form and write in that you're interested in volunteering on Election Day, and we will get in touch with you about volunteering, and also indicate, you put your address on the form, but also you can indicate which areas of the state you'd be interested in volunteering. So if you, if it isn't necessarily where you live, perhaps you might want to volunteer where you work, and that area might be easier for you, but
Elizabeth, I have a question.
of course.
Yes, so if I volunteered and like you said, I could pick the section, do I have to how many polling places do I have to do?
We're asking people to commit to 3 to 5.
Okay.
If you are able to do more, that would be great. But we're sort of at this point, we're asking people to commit to doing 3 to 5 polling places, and the survey really takes about 15 minutes total to do, no more than that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That was a good question. So thank you. And if you have any questions, please email me or give me a call, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you so much. All right, up there you go.